The last leg of the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's state visit to the United States is presently underway. An official State Department lunch, a discussion with the leading American CEOs, and also a diaspora outreach event is what is lined up for the Indian Prime Minister. Remember, the Indian Prime Minister is beginning his engagements today with an India-US high-tech event at the White House. Is meeting with the entrepreneurs, the CEOs and representatives from various different top companies. And according to reports, the Prime Minister is also expected to have one-on-one business meetings with Google's CEO Sundar Pichai as well. And following the meetings, the US Vice President Kamala Harris and the Secretary of State Anthony Blinken will be hosting a state lunch for the Indian Prime Minister. The lunch will include officials from the State Department. And after the state lunch, the Indian Prime Minister will then engage with influential figures and leaders from civil society at the Kennedy Center. And this will include prominent corporate honchos and personalities. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's final engagement will be an interaction with members of the Indian diaspora and the Indian-US community. And this, of course, is expected to take place at the Reagan Center in Washington, D.C. Now, the American President Joe Biden and the Indian Prime Minister hailed a new era of India-US ties after the White House rolled out the red carpet for the Indian Prime Minister, signing deals aimed at countering China's influence. The two countries announced agreements on semiconductors, critical minerals, technology, space cooperation and defense cooperation. Amidst China's territorial ambitions, Washington is in fact working to deepen its ties with the world's largest democracy and also sees deeper military-to-military technology ties. Now, the United States is India's largest trading partner, and so the new agreements are in fact aimed at diversifying supply chains to reduce dependence on Beijing. And the others are aimed at cornering the market in advanced technologies that may in fact feature on the battlefields of the future. Now, the US President and the Indian Prime Minister have ended disputes at the World Trade Organization, and India has removed some of the tariffs on US goods. The Biden and the Prime Minister have signed off on a deal that will allow the US-based General Electric to produce engines for military aircraft on Indian soil. While India can manufacture jets domestically, it has now secured the technical know-how to make aircraft engines. The country also intends to produce more than 350 fighter jets for its Air Force and Navy over the course of the next 2 decades. And under a maritime agreement, the US Navy ships in the regions will be able to stop at Indian shipyards for repair work. And as per the joint statement, Biden and the Indian Prime Minister have welcomed India's plans to procure General Atomics' MQ-9B drones. Now, these drones, which will be assembled in India, will enhance the intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance capabilities of India's armed forces across domains. General Atomics will establish a global maintenance, repair and an overhaul facility in India to support New Delhi's long-term goals to boost indigenous defense capabilities. Now, the US chipmaker Micron Technology plans a $2.7 billion semiconductor testing and a packaging unit to be built in the Indian state of Gujarat. And Boeing has announced a $100 million investment in infrastructure and programs to train pilots in India. The United States will also make it easier for the skilled Indian workers to get and renew the US visas. India has also agreed to join the US-led Artemis Accords on space exploration. New Delhi has also agreed to work with NASA on its joint mission to the International Space Station in 2024. In his second address to the joint sitting of the US Congress, the Indian Prime Minister has underlined for a free and an open Indo-Pacific, which he has dubbed to be extremely crucial.
The dark clouds of coercion and confrontation are casting their shadow in the Indo-Pacific. The stability of the region has become one of the central concerns of our partnership. We share a vision of a free, open, and inclusive Indo-Pacific.
The India-US bond is underpinned by not just global politics but also by business and economics. The trade between the United States and India in 2022 climbed up to record $191 billion. The two nations earlier had launched a collaborative technology initiative with eyes on future development. Washington and New Delhi have been moving closer for over 2 decades now. Successive U.S. residents have in fact displayed bipartisan support for stronger ties with the emerging Asian economy and regional powers. The President Joe Biden has in fact built on a legacy and has expanded cooperation.